So welcome back to the shop, friends. So a lot of you guys have been asking for a video on how to set up your hand plane. And I'm going to make that for you. In fact, I'm going to make you 3 videos. Today's video, I'm going to show you the parts of a hand plane. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to sharpen your hand plane. And then in the third video, I'm going to show you how to set up your hand plane. So for the parts of a hand plane, today I'm going to be using the Bailey number 5. This plane was given to me by my friend Daryl, and I restored it a few years ago. Okay, so this is the Bailey number 5 jack plane. It is a great all-around plane because of its size. It's got a long sole on it. The bottom of the plane is known as the sole. This whole part at the bottom is known as the body. Now you will notice that this plane has 2 different handles. It has a rear handle and it has a front handle. The front handle is also known as the knob. The front handle has a single screw that holds it in place. Be sure when you're taking the screws out of your hand planes that you use a screwdriver that is appropriate for the size. They will strip out pretty easily if you're not careful. Now this plane is not a new plane, it's a vintage plane. I'm not sure the actual age of the plane. I'm not that good at dating these, but I suspect it is pre-1940. So the front knob has 1 screw that holds it in place, and it screws into the body of the plane. In order to get to the rear handle of the plane, we need to remove the lever cap. The lever cap is locked into place using the leather cap locking cam, which is this piece here that moves. It's also secured against a single screw that also screws into the plane. It actually screws into the frog of the plane, which I'll show you in here just in a minute. So we'll remove the iron and the chip breaker, which is here, and then we can access the screws to the rear handle. Again, being sure that your screwdrivers fit the screws appropriately so you don't strip out those screws. So here's the rear handle and the 2 screws that secure it to the body of the plane. So now we can see the inner workings of the hand plane. This part that you see here is known as the frog. Attached to the frog is a lateral adjusting lever, which you can see here. It turns to the left and to the right. This one's a little bit stiff. I need to oil it a bit. The frog is held down by 2 screws to the body of the plane. Each screw has a washer as well that secures it to the body of the plane. By removing those 2 screws, then the frog is detached from the body of the plane. Back side of the frog is a depth adjusting nut, and it simply screws off, and it simply can be removed from the frog. There's also a frog adjusting screw on that screws into the body or sole of the plane, and it attaches to the frog using this small bracket, and you can see it fits in there just like that. And that way, as you screw this, if you tighten or loosen this screw, it will move the frog front or back depending on where you desire it to be. So now that the plane's taken apart, you can see the attachment points that are on the sole and body of the plane. We have 2 screw holes for the rear handle, a single screw hole for the front knob or handle, and then we have 2 screw holes for the frog, and then 1 screw hole for the frog adjustment screw. You can also see the mouth of the plane as well, where the plane iron protrudes through. Now attached to the plane iron is the chip breaker, and the chip breaker is simply removed from the plane iron by loosening the screw. It's a single screw that attaches the chip breaker to the plane iron. When looking at the body of the plane, the front is known as the toe and the rear is known as the heel. So now let's go ahead and put the plane back together so we know where each one of the parts go. To put the plane back together, you need to start out by using the frog adjustment screw. That goes in first. So slide that in about halfway. The next thing that I do is I add the rear handle. If you don't add the rear handle before you attach the frog, oftentimes it's difficult to get your screwdriver into position. So now that the rear handle is attached, we can add the frog. The bracket on the back of the frog slides into that frog adjustment screw. And then I just adjust that frog adjustment screw until the frog comes up even with the mouth of the plane body. Now we can go ahead and add the frog locking screws. You can leave them a little bit loose for now because we're going to be adjusting that as we set up our plane here later. The next thing you need to do is add your depth adjusting wheel or nut. The frog adjusting nut or wheel attaches to this small U-shaped hinge on the frog. I'm sure it has a specific name. I just don't know what it is. If you guys know what it is, let me know in the comments. So that little U-shaped hinge attaches to the adjustment wheel right there. And then as you move the wheel, it moves that hinge. And that's what actually raises and lowers your plane, your iron and chip breaker. Makes it deeper into the, cuts it deeper into the wood. So once we have our frog assembled, now we can go ahead and put our chip breaker onto our plane iron. And the chip breaker goes on the flat portion of your iron, and I usually leave it just a couple millimeters. I'll leave a couple millimeters of the iron sticking out. The chip breaker supports the edge of your iron. And then a single screw holds that together. Now for this plane, the bevel goes down, and that's the case with most of your bench planes. And then you set your plane back on the frog, and then you insert the lever cap screw, just loosely for this at this time. And then you can put your cap iron back on. Just leave this screw loose, and you need to make sure that your cap iron will just slide right on easily. The locking cam needs to be open when you insert it on the screw. Then you can close the locking cam, and it should be just firm. Finally, we can insert the knob back on our plane. So that's it, the plane's completely back together. It only took just a couple minutes to take it apart and put it back together. So today's video serves as the foundation for our plane series. Next time we'll sharpen the plane iron, and then in the third video we will set up the plane and get it ready to use. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.